Morning, everyone, or afternoon, or evening, I suppose, wherever it is, wherever you are. This video, we're going to go through recruitment and selection. So just remember, in the previous previous videos, we've gone through HR planning. Then we've gone through a job analysis and job design, where out of that's come a job specification and a job description. Now, once we've got just those two documents, the job description and job specification, we can now start to try and recruit and select the best person for the job or jobs. So recruitment, it's important to distinguish between recruitment and selection. They are not the same thing. They go hand in hand a little bit, but they need to work together, but they are not the same thing. So recruitment is the process of attracting qualified job applicants for a specific job. So if you part of that's the advertisement, and you get a pool of applicants that apply for the job. It's not then choosing and appointing someone into the job. That would be selection. The recruitment is getting the pool of applicants together. Recruitment methods can be internal or external, and we'll go through those methods in a second. And as I mentioned before, the job description and job specification are used in order to attract the qualified people. So you saw in the previous video when we went through the job advertisement, where it specified this is what you need to actually do this job, and that should then hopefully only have people that have those specifications apply. So it's important that those two documents are there. So internal recruitment, that can be things like putting on a staff notice board, sending emails, any kind of memos, anything that's internal, your internal communication. So it can be asking people within the organisation whether they want to apply for the job. Essentially, that's what it is. Now, the benefit of that, it's low cost, so you're not putting big advertisements out into newspapers. It can promote better morale because of the third point there, where it creates promotional opportunities. So if you're promoting within, that shows the employees that you really benefit, you value what they're doing in the organisation, so that can help improve morale. You're already aware of the applicant's skills, so you know what their skills and abilities are, and you can see that. And also, they're familiar with the culture, and you know whether they fit in with the culture or not. So that's, they know their way around, so they're probably a little bit less downtime when they're appointed. Disadvantages is that you're not getting outside perspectives. So they may have been within the organisation a while, and they may not have worked. Sometimes they may not have worked anywhere else. They may have just worked in your organisation. So that's one of the disadvantages, and obviously a smaller choice of applicants. So if you put an ad out there, you might get a wide range, where you may get someone that's really exceptional, and you miss out on that. You possibly may miss out on that if that's done internally. External recruitment, that's your advertising, using advertising agencies, any kind of headhunting, coming to schools, go to universities on recruitment drives, all those kind of things. So the advantages, again, similar to, or the opposite to the disadvantages on internal, you're getting a wider selection of candidates, new perspectives are brought into the organisation. The external candidate is more likely to have the required skill. Now, what that means is if you're employing internally, that person is probably being promoted, so they may not have all the skills, knowledge and ability to actually do the job, so you may have to give them further training. Whereas someone externally, because you can then tick off and go, they've got this qualification, they've got this many years experience in a similar role, so they should already have those skills and knowledge to perform the job to a high level. Disadvantages is it's more expensive, and no matter how well you go through your selection process, you're not always certain of how they're going to perform. They write down their referees, who they want you to call. If there's any reference letters or anything, they know what they are. So some people just interview really well and aren't good at the job. So you're not 100% sure of how they're going to, how they're actually going to be. So that's some of the disadvantages of external recruitment. Now, these are just some recruitment methods. There are many and varying, and they come up with creative ones all the time. So, but advertising using internet, such as Seek.com, mycareer.com, recruitment agencies, so getting the recruitment agency to actually, someone that specialises in recruitment, getting them to actually do the process for you, and you may come in at the end for the last couple of interviews or something like that. Professional associations where you can have, that's sort of like in networking where you can get applicants there. Previous applicants, so it's important that if someone applies for a job and they're not quite a fit for that particular job, that you actually keep them on file. They may be perfect for another job, so it's important that you've got them. And then, if a job that you think they would be really good at comes up, that you can give them a call and see whether they're still available. Any kind of networking, and then your internal methods of notice boards, newsletters, word of mouth, email, headhunting. So headhunting is where you may have worked with someone, or you may have had a client, or you're a client of someone else, and you go, well, I think this person would be really good in our organisation, and you go and make them an offer. And then it's up to them whether they decide to leave their organisation. That's what headhunting is. Selection. So once you've got your pool of applicants, now you have to choose which is the best one, and that's where selection comes in. So as it says there, involves choosing the candidate who best matches the organisation's requirements. And we go through a 5-stage process. So just imagine that you've put an ad, you've gone on a recruitment drive, and you've got 150, 200 applicants for a particular job. You need to screen those and shortlist them. So you might cut them down to 5 or 10 or however many you think that would be fantastic for the job. And then second step is to interview them. There are many different interview methods that you can go through. Then after the interviews, and it may be a series of interviews, you check their background. So that's where you call their referees, and these days organisations are going onto Facebook, they're going onto Twitter and checking out what you actually do in your life, and so it's important that these days that your Facebook accounts and all those kind of things are kept in check, and there's nothing racy or outrageous on there, because there's a fair chance that that's going to cost you a job if that's the case. And then they may conduct any tests. That could be psychological tests, medical tests, anything like that. And then the last stage is to advise the applicant of the outcome, whether that be positive or negative. So yeah, they're the 5 stages in the selection process that you can use, because quite often in the exam, previously they've asked for the steps in recruitment, and that's where you do your HR planning, job analysis, where you get your job description, and then you might advertise or something like that. Here, selection, if they ask for what's involved in selection, that's where you would screen and shortlist, you'd interview applicants, check their background, conduct any tests, and advise of the outcome, and make an offer or something like that. So it's just important that you keep there's a question a couple of years ago where it asked for, I can't remember whether it was recruitment or selection, and I'm pretty sure it was selection, and a lot of students wrote about recruitment rather than selection and lost marks because of that. So it's important that you can separate the two, but you know that they work really well together. So it's important to get selection done correctly, because if it's done poorly, there's increased training costs. It might be that you have to retrain the employee over and over. Staff turnover is increased, as well as staff absenteeism, because they're just not good for the job. So that's not a good fit for the organisation. So they're not happy being there either. As a result, they might not be good at their job, and because of the increased absenteeism, there's reduced productivity. If they're unskilled, there could be more accidents within the workplace, and there's many other negative things. But it's important to get the selection correct, because to actually employ someone else costs the organisation lots of money. So it's important to get the best person the first time. Now, interviews. Job interviews are still the most commonly used selection technique. The research shows that. And interviews, they work both ways. So they provide an opportunity for the job seeker and the organisation to learn more about each other. So the person that's being interviewed, they also want to find out about the job and about the organisation, so they're also interviewing the organisation. So it's important that you understand it works both ways. And if you think about it that way, if you're ever going into an interview, that often reduces some of the anxiety that you have. It's important not to ask questions that are discriminatory. So you can't ask, you're planning to have a family soon. you're pregnant or anything like that, what your religion is. You can't ask any of those questions because you can't discriminate. Common interview methods. There's a structured interview where you might sit there with a panel of three and ask questions at the interviewee. The unstructured, where it could be just over the phone or come in for a quick chat. The stress interview, where they actually put you under the pump and ask you, questions. What would you do in this situation? And then there's group interviews where you're in a group and sometimes you may even have to put on a performance or give a talk or something like that, and analyse that way. Sometimes there's some organisations that make you do a talk, and you're not actually being analysed on your talk. You're being analysed. You're in a group, and you're analysed on how well you listen. And the people in the room don't actually know that, but often they use that method to appoint salespeople, because salespeople need to be able to listen and empathise with the people they're trying to sell to, and so that's one kind of group interview that's often used for salespeople. So just to recap, we've got recruitment and selection, but once you've got the job description and the job specification, it's time to go into recruitment and selection. So it's important that how you're selecting your employees is based on what the job description and job specification is. So that gives you the guide, and it also helps you ask the questions on what you're analysing this person against. So recruitment, we've got internal and external recruitment, and then selection, we've got a 5-step process. So screening, shortlisting, conduct the interview, background checks, any tests, and then notify and make an offer. So that's recruitment and selection. And just remember, for more videos and practice sacks and also the activities and questions for this video, go to teachingbubble.com.